You already accepted a community rewatch. My name is Christian, and my co-host today is Jonathan Pierre.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah. Unfortunately, due to prior engagements, Ethan is not able to join us today. But that's the end of the middle school presentation. Folks, welcome back to another episode of You Already Accepted. Today, we'll be looking at foosball and nocturnal vigilantism, as well as regional holiday music for our discussion today. So, Jonathan, how are we feeling today?
Not too bad.
Super Bowl weekend.
Super Bowl weekend.
Right?
I'm feeling good about
Eagles?
the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win.
Right?
Not like handily, but like because the Chiefs always want to make us sweat. But like,
right.
It'll be like a 4 point, or I need it to be a 3-point game.
Due to possibly unethical or illegal sports betting.
Yeah.
At least a 3-point game, or at most a 3-point game. Or just a 3-point game in general. Not over, not under, just 3 points.
Yeah, I need it to be a 3-point game where the Chiefs score at least 30 points. So score 30 points exactly.
Right. 30-27 is the final score?
Hopefully.
Okay. See, what's probably going to happen, I mean, this isn't a sports pod, but it's probably going to be like 13-7. I don't know. I got that feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be a boring Super Bowl.
It could be a boring Super Bowl. I don't want it to be like Super Bowl 55, where it was like 24-10 or whatever. We got blown out. But we're not here to talk about sports today, folks. We're here to talk about foosball and Batman.
Foosball,
the Foosenschaufen, which right into it. Nick Kroll being in this episode gives a lot of credibility to Community. I don't know about you, man. Nick Kroll is just one of those guys, like him, Danny McBride, Seth Rogen. You're like, I feel like at any moment he's gonna go too far, right? And so. We have it on the screen right now. It's a YouTube channel that I watch, but this guy Dead Meat, James, he had a line one time where he was like, I'm okay with watching sleazy movies as long as they're not made by sleazy people. And I feel like that's kind of the same case with like actors. Of like, I'm okay with watching people be jerks on the screen if I didn't get the feeling that they were also jerks in real life. And Nick Kroll is just one of those guys that maybe he's a really great guy in person, but I just get the feeling that he leans into the douchey persona because that's how he really is.
Yeah.
Is that the indication that you get, or am I just kind of
my favorite role of Nick Kroll's is his character Ruxin in the League, and in that show he's a complete douche. Like he does that character very well,
right? And he does. It's kind of like in wrestling, you got like Mike the Miz, or you got MJF and AW, and it's like they're doing a good job, right? Because if they were a bad actor, you'd be indifferent, and he's one of those guys that you want to see him have his comeuppance, and you do in this episode. But what were some of your A+ parts? Between the foosball, really the two primary plots was the foosball and then the Dark Knight DVD. What'd you like?
I liked. So I would recognize myself as, at this point, I would recognize myself as an anime supporter rather than an anime lover.
Right.
I think there's a time in my life I was definitely an anime lover.
You had a pillow?
Yeah. An anime body
pillow.
but
yeah,
pad. I thought the anime scene in this was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was longer in my head because I knew it was like this episode.
Right.
Like when they actually did it, I was like, oh, they don't actually really do that much in it, but there's a little gargoyle in the background that's kind of fun, and then on the highlight volcanic Thunderdome thing,
precipice, right? It's a big conflict scene, very epic, and there's like the random cat that meows. And I think it's a great shade to the it's great that they had an anime battle style pinball or foosball game, because foosball is not super exciting. But I think it's a good layer to the conflict between Jeff and Shirley, that both of them used foosball as like a coping mechanism.
Yeah,
and now they're kind of going all in, kind of go for the throat in that. So yeah, did you know? Is there any inspiration from like a real life anime in that?
It didn't look
like it.
No, because I was I thought about that as well. It's like it doesn't look like any sort of like big time mainline anime necessarily,
right?
But at the same time, it does a great job of like capturing the style.
Yeah, it's a great way to use kind of an underused medium within the episode.
Yeah,
that too.
And then I love Batman, Abed Batman. Like it's the best Abed Batman is probably a low key a top 5, top 10 side character in the community.
Oh yeah, you should use him as like your Twitter profile.
Yeah,
like that. I have Crying Batman as my cover photo.
Nice.
You know I'm talking about Crying Batman from like the original '60s cartoon. Yeah, so I use that. I thought it'd be kind of funny, and if whenever Abed was scaling the fire escape, what if it was a shot of him like climbing out the window? And like, all right, here we go. And then just a jump cut to him in the hospital. Like he had a broken ankle or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, Abed, you're not actually Batman. And I feel like that would have been a fun shade to the episode of like, oh, you're right. You know, I have these interests and these hobbies, but I've got to separate real life from my my persona. What do you think? Is it more? I mean, because it's fun to watch him be Batman, but I think for his character, it would be interesting to see him wrestle with the fact like, oh, I'm not actually Batman, you know. But the whole plot of like the Dark Knight, the $300 Dark Knight DVD with up to 4 customizable words from Christian Bale. Abed is Batman now. It's from the man himself. You can't argue with it. It's always kind of fun to see real media or real products in a TV show, because you're so used to there being like Inspector Spacetime or Let's Potato Chips, and like so whenever you finally do see like, oh, he's just got the same Dark Knight DVD that I have in real life, right? It's kind of fun to see that cross over into the real world.
We set the scene on location.
That's not a real option. Which I thought that was a fun riff.
Yes, I thought that was brilliant.
So great. Because then she was like, "See, it was a challenge, Jimmy." He's right. Because she was still considering it, right? But it's kind of crazy that he forgives her so easily with her breaking his $300 DVD. Like it's a sweet moment, right, where she apologizes to Batman, right? She's like, well, what if he felt really bad that he broke it, you know? But if you had a priceless, you know, very, very expensive but also very personal like item and it got broken, I mean, you're a very caring person, so I know that you. But like, would it be that easy for you to just forgive? Like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
Well, what I wouldn't do is just leave it on the ground in front of the TV, like Abed did.
Right.
Like again, the plot has to start somehow. So like, it is what it is.
Right.
I was like, honestly, Annie, like that's not that. It's like 60% your fault. Like,
right.
Really, like
maybe 55%.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, sorry, what was the question?
Just like I don't know. It's kind of drawing just how easily Abed forgives her.
Oh yes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And because I was thinking about that like I don't think, first of all, I don't think I own anything that's really that irreplaceable. But if somebody were to break or stain or scratch or ruin something, I think I would be okay with the fact that it got broken. I think my problem is that I assume, or I create a scenario in my head where I try to imagine how it happened. And I would just assume that person was being like careless or being disrespectful almost of like my property. And so I think that's where the problem would be for me is like, do you not respect me enough to take care of my project?
Yeah.
You know, and if, you know, because I think about my senior year of high school, Ethan and I were driving with my mom and my sister, and we took my car to like Liberty or Kansas City or something like that. And because my mom's van was broken down, and we were driving my car and Ethan drove it because I didn't like driving in the city. And then on the way back to our house, Ethan hit a deer on like I-35. And I wasn't like really upset that my car got smashed into. And I didn't blame him for sure. I think I was just more relieved that like, oh, well, I didn't hit a deer. So it's kind of nice, right? He never offered to help me fix it, which I was a little upset about, but no, I'm just kidding. But I think that's an example of like the fact that something got broken isn't the big deal. It's the fact that I knew the circumstances around it, you know? So I think that Abed in this case, I think he knew it was an accident. Do you know how many we're trying to replace an irreplaceable trope have been in sitcoms? Because Abed does. And if he finds out, he's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
I love that we're bringing Abed's meta-ness into it. It's so much fun with that. But the foosball storyline is actually kind of heartbreaking, though.
Yeah.
With you know,
big cheddar.
Who told you that? And you're Tinkletown.
I had to change schools.
I had to change school. I had a lot about to do that day.
Yeah.
In that scene, like the flashback scene.
Yeah.
There's a cut to a little like
Say it.
kid. And I can't tell if that's supposed to be Abed. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's like a group of kids.
Yeah.
And in one corner there's like this little kid. He looks like he could be a younger version of Abed, but I'm not sure if that's what the showrunners were going for. If that's implying that, you know, they were actually more closely connected than they really were, because Abed is, well, I guess Abed's fairly, like in the show, he's fairly younger than Shirley and Jeff. But I also forget that this is a community college. So it's supposed to take place in, like, I guess the city of Greendale, that in all likelihood, like their paths might have crossed multiple times before.
Yeah.
You know, I think about, like, you know, the school in Trenton, or a lot of schools in like Kansas City, that like they're all pulling from the same population of that area. So it's likely that they would meet somebody that they know later on in life at community college, you know? But I
always took Abed as like 19.
Right.
Like maybe he took like a year off to work on his dad's waffle business.
Yeah, but he's not almost 40 like Jeff is. So it may not be likely that 20 year difference that they'd be at the same community space. But it's crazy too that like Jeff gets mad at Shirley, and I think what they're going for is that like he's just so traumatized by being embarrassed by everybody. But like he also needed to remember that like Shirley didn't want to help him to begin with, and she obviously, you know, like she makes multiple references to the fact that like, oh, you know, foosball brings out the worst in people, and they probably hate themselves enough. And whenever she's reciting the story, even as Big Cheddar, like she's feeling bad about it, but then he just makes her feel awful, you know? And so it's kind of a weird way to make the conflict grow.
Yeah.
And I do like their kind of the core of their argument is that like neither of them have something that Shirley says, like, you don't have all the rights to self-pity, and using that to justify your excuses, because I feel like it's very easy to do that, right? To just let your circumstances and things that have happened to you before, and, you know, your shortcomings to justify like bad decisions that you made later on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think like when it comes to that one, I'm trying to think, because my immediate reaction was like, oh, like once Jeff figures out. Also, actually, talking about that flashback scene, little baby Shirley's so mean. She's just pissing on. She's just
make you cry to your mommy, and I know your daddy. I know, like a little bitch.
Like, dang.
Oh my gosh. And but
like,
yeah.
Also, I mean, I played a decent amount of foosball growing up. Like, stabbing somebody with the other side of the
would hurt.
That's not etiquette. Like, that's not cool. Like, that wasn't like just a part of it. Like, you lost, you know, you get stabbed in the gut. Like,
right.
If that happened, like, it was accidental.
Injury, like, this is how villain origin stories start, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel bad, because Shirley's logic is that, like, you know, I try growing 3 feet right as boys are trying to start looking at you. Like, everybody, you know, kind of turned their back on me. But yeah, man, that's so crazy that whenever and the few times that I beat somebody in a sport, because I'm not super athletic, but like,
but it has happened.
It has happened, right? I even think about like NFL, like you know, what was it? Akeem Talib and
Mike Crabtree, right?
Mike Crabtree, like they had that huge kind of rivalry that was going on.
Yeah. And
I'm like, okay, if somebody instigates it. Okay, even think about like Cincinnati and Kansas City, right? Like Cincinnati was talking crap all week, right? And the Chiefs beat them. That was sort of like, you know, hey, watch yourself. But if the Chiefs would have done that to like Detroit, right? No offense, I love the Lions, but like just dunking on them, like, man, you guys are garbage. Like, there's no fun in that.
Agreed,
right?
Yeah.
There's no like seeing Shirley and Jeff beat the Germans, right? Like that's good. Like anytime that Nick Kroll gets buried, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine like young Shirley just dunking on this little kid, you know. Have you ever watched Tombstone, the movie with Kurt Russell and who else is it? Val Kilmer? It's got Sam Elliott. It's the story of Wyatt Earp.
I don't think so yet.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I watched it with Jason like last week or two ago, so that's why it's on my mind. But it's fun to watch Wyatt Earp, you know, beat up on like the big gang of cowboys, the Outlaws. But he always knows like how far is too far, right? And like if there's a guy who's like, man, I'm just a simple working man and got to feed my wife and kids, like he doesn't like overdo it, right? And so I feel like that's what makes a good hero in a TV show or a movie.
Who plays White Epron then?
Kurt Russell.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
okay.
Kurt Russell, and then Bill Paxton is his youngest brother, and Sam Elliott's his other brother. And it's got Val Kilmer as Doc, his tuberculosis guy. It's got trying to think. It's got Thomas Hayden Church. And Stephen Lang. And the crazy part is that they're not even the main villains. Like they're like just kind of some side characters or whatever. Because it was made like in the probably like mid '90s, so they were just kind of started out.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really good show. But derailing, I did think it was really sweet after the foosball sequence that, you know, as Jeff and Shirley walk away, it transitions to the little kids.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, so we got to learn that song on guitar.
Oh, for sure. Is it an actual song or is it just like a little ditty made for the show?
Yeah, it's called Greendale Is My Home. It's by Ludwig Van Hosen or something like that. He did the soundtrack for Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
But he's also, I think he works closely with like Childish Gambino.
Ludwig Jordan.
Yeah, Greendale's Where I Belong. Thank you.
Be my little friend through the mountains end. We could write a book without thinking how we look. Oh, that's sweet.
Beautiful.
Because then they also have the last episode is The Ends of the Earth by Lord Huron. Whenever Abed and Annie leave on a bus or whatever it is they're doing, they play that. And like, man, you know how to get me with Lord Huron. But I thought it would have a fun little kind of, you know, gag if Pierce is like, are you guys seeing this too? These little kids walking through the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And it's almost like maybe there's like something supernatural going on where it's like Jeff or Pierce sees it, but nobody else does.
I feel like that'd be, again, I don't love child actors, but that feels like an episode of Community that they would do is like, they like go through some weird time thing where like they're all kids,
but everybody else is adults.
Yeah.
Or like in season 6, whenever they're trying to be like, how are we going to have our group? And they bring in, like Mr. Goombie or something like that. He's like the animated character. And stuff.
Yeah, Mr.
Goombie. Yeah, they did a whole episode with puppets. So like it'd be fun to do an episode with like just them as kids.
Yeah.
Right? Or you know, I think they even do a dig at that in season 4 with like Greendale Babies. It's kind of like, you know, the Muppet Babies or Scooby Doo as a kid, or like that was a thing I guess in the 70s was to just have the same TV show but with younger characters.
They're 8-year-olds now.
How did they get together?
Yeah.
Right.
Worked all the way through Rugrats. Well.
It did. But not did you watch the remake of Rugrats?
When they're like adults?
No, the one that they like remade. Like it's like CGI.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Like I think it was like 2021.
Goodness.
Yeah. Let me pull up a photo real quick. See if you.
Can Rugrats. I get to the yams? Sweet yams.
See, I feel like Rugrats wasn't really one of those shows that I watched a whole lot of as a kid. Yeah, look at that.
Oh my goodness!
Turn
it off.
Get that thing off my screen. I had to clear my search history after that one. But yeah, it was kind of one of those shows because again, like we didn't have cable or dish growing up, so I really feel like the only experience I got with it was maybe. Did you ever have like those Nickelodeon just VHS tapes where it's like, here are 10 episodes of SpongeBob just for no reason?
Yeah.
I think we had one of those of Rugrats, but that was like 15, 20 years ago that I watched it. So I feel like I remember feeling uncomfortable by the animation style, but I don't remember why. Maybe because it was hand drawn.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I want it to be at least smooth animation. But then I didn't realize that hand drawn animation was so painstakingly long.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever see like the old Betty Boop Snow White with like the dancing ghost and seeing like how they made that? Like it's crazy.
Well, and again, it is super cool. Like even like the 90s Disney's like the Beauty and the Beast. And,
right. Yeah.
Like those are great and like beautiful and like
just it's fluid. It's natural almost.
Everything's very emotive. Like
right. And they tried doing that. Like the last 2D movie they did was like Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
And I think that they still made it with computers, but it just was in that 2D flat style. And then I people didn't like that movie apparently. Like it didn't do as well, but I liked it. I mean, granted I was like 16 whenever I watched it, but like it's got a good story. It's a fun play, like the kind of the cultural New Orleans style I really liked. But I think people are kind of starting to like appreciate 2D animation again. And you just look at like adult animation especially, but like shows like Invincible. Man, I've been rewatching Invincible recently since they had season 2 announced. Like there's some quality stuff you can do with 2D animation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But
I mean, like I think also too, just like, I mean, we see this like culturally where it's like, yeah, technology is going to keep moving forward, but like there's going to be value in like how things used to be done, how things were done right.
Like, I mean, it's that whole argument of like progress versus tradition.
Yeah.
And I think when progress honors tradition, that's whenever things work out the best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at like vinyl records. Like people don't need a giant record player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the technology is advanced to where you can just have that in a file. Like it's not even a tangible thing, right? But I think appreciating that whenever you play a record, it's going to have the little scratches and it's going to have that like that generated sound, right?
Solitude. Yeah,
exactly, right. And so,
the kind of paper crushing sound, like
exactly. It, like the sound is coming from the needle vibrating rather than having the sound come through the speakers as like a digital sound. Like, I'm not saying it's better. I mean, like if you just look at it, objectively, obviously the sound coming through your Bluetooth speaker is better. It's clearer, but almost like the ritual of having it on that vinyl record is what people appreciate. And so I think the same thing is true, even with like, you were talking about with the anime scene in the Foosball episode. Like it would have been just as easy to have a static camera, the entire scene, and them trash talking each other. But you can appreciate the dramatized element of the anime. So like, yeah, I appreciate our appreciation for pop culture for sure.
I have some thoughts about Akira Toriyama that I think next 25 minutes.
Hey, we got no buzzer for sure.
No filter, no
unfiltered,
buzzer.
Uncensored, not your grandma's podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Son, is that you?
Shut up, Grandma. This is our podcast. I mean, blueberry muffins. Okay, Grandma, be right there.
Put one outside my door, right?
Also, I love you and I appreciate you, and this is just a bit. Yeah. That's your grandma's podcast.
Let's run through some of these because I really want to talk about the Glee episode. So,
okay.
For the diorama question, it was which movie with bonus footage and commentary would you spend $299 on, and who would you want to sign it? I said The Incredibles, signed by Wallace Shawn. Obviously plays Bob Parr's dad, not dad,
his boss,
Parr. I'm about to say who would you want?
I'm trying to think of what would the 4 personalized words be from Wallace Shawn. Ensure cares, inner workings. That's only 3 words.
Ensure cares in the black or something like that. Or
every Harry Hard Knock and Sally Stops story gives you a phone call.
All little cogs mash. All little cogs.
All the cogs mash.
Yeah. It'd be something like misplaced, like mashed together cogs.
Yeah, all cogs mashed together.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, it's close enough.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting though. I don't know. We had the Pixar DVDs with commentary on them, so like sometimes I would like just be playing around on the main menu, and I'd accidentally start the movie with commentary. I'm like, I don't want to watch this because I want to just watch the movie. So I don't really know if you even have an answer to that. I mean, honestly, gosh, a movie that I would spend $300 for with commentary. Maybe The Mummy.
Yeah,
I don't know, just for Brendan Fraser.
Absolutely.
If he were to spend 2 hours talking about like, oh yeah, actually I just eaten a blueberry muffin that day, I wasn't feeling it. I guess I'd do that. But I honestly I pay $300 just to Brendan Fraser. I mean, I would just be like, as long as it makes you stay in the limelight, I'll give it to you. For sure. So that'd probably be mine. I don't know if that
works.
Right. What about for your A+, or sorry, you're leading the class for this episode? Did you have anybody who like really stood out?
I just had Abed just because like I love Batman Abed so much, and I thought like anytime he's like justice is rotten, the streets are wicked, like
a finger curling and uncurling, like, hey, come here.
Yeah. And like even the interrogating of the
you know what I came for, scum.
Where
it's in the closet, man. It's in the closet.
So I thought that was great. How about you, man?
I'm probably gonna say honestly Jeff. I don't feel like I give it to him very often. I do like to see how it's kind of like that old trope of like, oh well, he has this this unprocessed trauma from his past, and so once he releases that, he can actually do foosball. I think about like Captain America with the hammer, right? Once he told the secret about Bucky, that's whenever he could lift the hammer right afterwards. But
nice.
Right? Do you ever think about that? I saw it like on a fan theory somewhere. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Once he told Iron Man about Bucky was a secret. So then once he had that, he was worthy afterwards. But I also, you can make an argument for the Germans because they're the ones who make them go on that journey, and they have that good bit with like, it is not very much on like Donkey Kong, and you will have this, and they do like the human foosball thing.
Yeah,
that's like a $25 soccer ball just for that bit. It was even a good bit. I feel like that was pretty clever. I gotta give him credit for that.
It was sneaky athletic too, like
right, like a little floppy. Yeah. Like you had to know they practiced that, right? It wasn't.
That's like 12 hours, 19 hours to shoot.
At the end of the day, Joel McHale was crying in his trailer, just wanting to quit, but we wouldn't let him. Once the shot came out, he thanked us. He thanked us.
The hours are what they are, guys. Like,
see, it's just part of the job. Whenever you sign the contract, that you're just going to have those unrequited moments of pure cinema.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like with actors, like okay, like yeah, obviously they're actors, like they're pretentious and narcissistic and all these things, whatever. But like for that's that 6 week stretch, like there's a lot. I mean, again, everyone on the casting crew is working hard,
right?
But like it's like 12 to 16-hour days, sometimes.
Right?
It's like,
especially if it's like a movie where there's a lot of like stage makeup or like prosthetics, like. You hear about people who are in the chair for 8 hours before they even act. Yeah. Like Jim Carrey in The Grinch. I've heard like stories of like he'd work like 20-hour days sometimes just because the shooting schedule and then getting into the costume. Like it took so much. But yeah. Are there really any moments in Greendale where like people are not in their normal self? Like I know in season 6 there's like the bit with Elder Abed and Elder Frankie and they're in different costumes, but I don't think that there's really any like stage makeup or different states that I can think of.
Not a ton off the top of my head either.
I mean, Pierce getting stabbed in the face with a pencil. That's some stage makeup.
Yeah.
But even like, we talked about a couple episodes ago with, Annie turning into a werewolf. They just used CG for it. Yeah. So like, I don't know.
Sure.
But final thoughts on this episode. Do you have anything that's major disapproval, major gripes about?
I'd say, yeah, like I mentioned the anime scene earlier. I wish there was more of that. I wonder if I could really see them battle too. Like,
oh yeah,
because like obviously they're playing foosball in the real world.
So like, what does that translate to in the anime world?
Yeah, like a sword battle or something, or like they're shooting like key blasts.
Oh yeah, like their little foosball players are actual soldiers who are clashing.
Go, charge!
Use like a falcon launch kick and it sends the ball on fire. Yeah, No, that would be really fun.
I mean,
yeah.
But then I also thought like there were just like a couple too many like German jokes. Like, it was
we're gonna kick Das butt.
Yeah, okay, like it was like a couple too many of those, like strudel faces like that. Right. They called each other or whatever. Like, but overall, I gave it like an 8.5 out of 10. Like
8.5 out of 10.
Like memorable episode, fun episode.
Yeah,
easy to enjoy. How about you?
I would rank this a Gorgilio's 5 cheese pizza out of DiGiorno's. Leonard's pizza review.
Yeah.
It's a good episode.
What's the point of reviewing a frozen pizza anyway?
You're talking about it.
He is right.
Which I feel like 2012 or whenever this episode came out, like that was a good time for product review channels.
Yeah.
Like, is that a thing still? Like, I know that have you ever seen, I think it's Caffeine Professor, and he just reviews energy drinks. Like that's his whole thing.
No.
Like he's pretty popular, I guess, but it would be fun to do that, to just try like every version of Dr. Pepper. But that feels like it'd be one video that you would make, not a whole.
How to make
channel.
that into
right. But I'm gonna say this is a very memorable episode. I think both the plots were strong. I think that if you separate either one of them out, it makes a good single episode. I loved how Troy is never, very rarely like the straight man who like reacts to the jokes, but in this episode he was very level-headed. Except for the whole like, Abed, get him. I mean, stop. That was so much fun. I like that Jeff has some of his baggage unpacked. I feel like Jeff is at his best whenever he's not trying to pretend that his life isn't, he doesn't have baggage. So yeah, I would give it a pretty good episode. I feel like this is one of those episodes that if I was showing Community to somebody and there's like a playlist of maybe 5 episodes, this wouldn't be the first episode on there, but it would be one of those that I would show them.
Fair,
it'd be kind of fun. So yeah, I would give it that. But any other thoughts about Foosball and Nocturnal Vigilantism?
No, I got nothing, man. I'm ready to talk about this. Honestly, I love this Glee episode.
Really? Regional holiday music?
So one, I'm a big fan of like the actual show, especially the first 3 seasons. I mean, that's like, right. Every Glee fan would say that, so it sounds special.
You would say that, wouldn't you?
So like, but they do a great job of like making it feel like you probably noticed how like there's like when you come back from commercial breaks, there's a little bit of music, like like
yeah,
it plays like little melodies,
making it feel like an episode of Glee.
That like they nailed that. I mean, the random singing and how like it's a slightly like you can tell it's like recorded, not on like that sound stage.
It's almost like making a dig at the show of Glee, like how processed it is of like.
No, yeah, exactly. They nailed it.
That's awesome.
At that part of it,
because I've never watched Glee, and even as somebody who hasn't seen it, I enjoyed this episode. So I didn't even think it might be a different experience having seen the whole show. This is kind of weird. This episode, and then also, I think the next episode, if I'm thinking the right one. But yeah, like these 2 episodes that are coming up next, like I don't remember them very often. Like I'm pretty sure, like I watched the Community once, and then I did a rewatch a second time, and the second time through, I didn't remember this episode at all. Now, now that we're watching it for the podcast, I know about it. But yeah, it's kind of like a hidden gem almost. I think I love how they use kind of like the music as mind control. Yeah, like, it's so infectious. How, and that's kind of Mr. What's the teacher's name? I forgot his name.
Mr. B.
Mr. B, right? Like that's his character. He's just like aggressively asexual, is what they call him. And how and I'm sure in the show Glee that they just break out into music spontaneously, and how that's almost like a psychic kind of power that they have in the show. Abed, his whole driven thing is that like, oh, I'm going to use the mechanic of Glee to save my friends for Christmas, and I can equate that to a TV show, right? For Troy, it's the fact that, oh, I don't have to participate in Christmas. I can pretend to participate for my friends, right? And so that's saving him. And then Pierce, they're just appealing to his baby boomer sense. And I think Baby Boomer Santa is actually a really good song.
Baby Boomer Santa, he smoked a bunch of acid.
He found a Woodstock in Vietnam and burnt his bra, right?
Yeah.
Surely they talk about like separation of church and state.
Yeah.
The Constitution says that they can't tell us. Yeah, I love that.
They won't do that for you.
They won't do it for you.
Jesus.
And then the Jeff one was with Annie singing like the sexualized Christmas song. I love how they turn that into like a "you smart, me dumb, help Woody have" like as the song goes on, she just deteriorates completely.
Yeah,
I think there's a point of diminishing return to sexiness. What's the
that made me want to punch Annie in the face.
Oh right,
like, especially like by the end of it, like I get like it's a joke, but it's like
right. It's like uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, because like I mean, ultimately, like. I mean, we can get into like the concept of infantilization and like how like powerful that is and like male media and like all that. Like, I mean, we probably will as we talk about this episode.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it right now.
Well,
Let's just air our dirty laundry.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just super fascinating. Like, not fascinating. Fascinating.
As in, like I want to see more of it.
Yeah.
But like why is that the thing that gets everybody off? I don't know. Like,
yeah, like the male ego says like I want
to like, have control over.
Yeah, I want
romantic interest.
Well, it's like yes, I want control, and I want like complete dependence,
superiority to. Yeah.
Like it's a weird, and like you find ultimately that in a child, and so it's like this is weird, like
right. Especially I will, to Jeff's credit, he's confused the whole time. He's like, is this a bit?
Yeah.
But I'm also like, dude, you could just walk out the door right now. Like at any point, you could just leave. Like as she's singing, just walk out the door.
Yeah.
Imagine if he did, and she's singing. She's like, "Well, crap. I guess I got to think of something else." That would have been funnier, right? But I don't think Annie even gets a song. She just gets cornered in the like the band room.
Her and Britta just get cornered,
right? And I love the running bit of like regionals.
Yeah,
like I thought this was regionals.
Not to like what does Pierce say? Not to doesn't mean I'm not excited about it,
right? Whatever, don't let my confusion take away from the importance of regionals, right? Yeah. And then how once Abed realizes that Mr. B is kind of stringing them along, he's like, Britta, you need to be the Mouse King. It'll help us get to regionals. Okay,
You're like, I don't know the lyrics.
It's for singing from your heart.
Yeah. The doy.
Me so Mary.
Oh, goodness.
Brett is in this.
Well, yeah, some of my favorite like scenes are like, the Dean just being
right.
Which it's so interesting that like Mr. B tries to get Britta because like for the group's sake, so like they don't catch on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like
he doesn't want her in it at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's also fun because then the Dean's like, why don't we let Britta sing her terrible Christmas song?
Yeah.
And everybody's along with it because they're like, Christmas cheer.
Yeah, whatever.
And Mr. B's like, no.
Yeah. It's supposed to be fun and gleeful. And
unless you want another bus crash.
Yeah.
Which
metaphorically,
and I'm not saying that I cut the brake lines of the it's Kings of Leon.
Yeah.
And it would be Kings of Leon,
yeah.
right? Like early 2010s, like
Karen killed.
Oh man.
Like, but some of my favorite lines from this, that
Mr. Radisson was his name.
Yeah, Mr. Radisson.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, because it was Mr. Rad or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Rad.
But like that Glee Club freak out before where they're just like, what does he say? Little Elton John or Elton Lil John.
Yes.
Elton Lil John Lennon. Okay. Like, and then the music copyright.
Cease and desist.
Yeah. The Dean comes in and says, and just to think they were this close to regionals, and then Pierce goes, "What the hell are regionals?" and the Dean just goes, "They're this close," and
he's also like, "Don't you hurt him?"
Yeah, but like, going off of Glee, like that. Glee was like, "Oh, okay, guys, if we do good, we can go to regionals." It's
right? It's like
we have no real concept of like
right
the region, or
it's kind of like whenever a movie takes place in like Missouri, but there's like everybody's a hick over here, like
and like there's like it's like cool like palm trees, so it's like
right, or in Community we've even seen palm trees like they're recording.
Yeah, but so that was hilarious. They're this close. I
also really liked Abed's kind of like go home speech where he's like, maybe forcing things to be bright makes the darkness underneath even darker. And I mean, obviously, if anybody has heard me talk about Christmas, they know that I'm not a huge fan of it, of like the season. But I do think that Abed putting that into words, like it made a lot more sense to me of like why I didn't enjoy it. It's because like, Christmas takes place like during like the darkest months of the year, right? Like winter solstice is December 21st, Christmas is December 25th. And so like, acting like everything is cheery and bright rather than acknowledging like, hey, we have to make things cheery and bright. Like the action of us choosing to be merry and choosing to put on colorful stuff and choosing to have this celebration
to serve and to like
right. Like I think a simple statement change would kind of help change my perspective on Christmas rather than just like pretending like that's how it was all along and just like willfully ignoring like the reality of it. Like,
like it talks like, before our pod, like Christian and I had this whole conversation about like the importance of choices and just like where like our lives could be heading. And it's like, you have to create the good, like,
right? Create the joy, find in the middle of like the cold dark nights, they talk about that a lot in the show. Yeah.
It's like, it's much like how this country was built. You have to push away the evil.
You have to keep pushing them westward on the reservation. We're kidding. That's a joke. We're kidding.
Just an example. Just a very practical example. You guys want to go to Colorado, but you don't, but
you don't want to go to Southwest Colorado. You want to go to the Alpine Resort, Colorado.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Goodness. And then, I thought Taron Killam, Mr. Rad I think he's a hilariously underrated talent. Like he can do, like he was on SNL for like 6 seasons. He can do impressions. He can like the dude's super talented. Okay, so the Troy and Abed rap scene. This is so
perfect,
dude. I've been listening to that since I watched this episode for our review.
Is it on like Spotify or Apple Music?
It's on Spotify. It's also just on YouTube.
Right.
That I've watched and listened to it a bunch. It's technically a podcast on Spotify, but like it's
okay, I see what you're saying.
But
Christmas Infiltration. No, I was thinking about that too.
You mean like a spy investigator? Like, dude, I've been like in my head. Yeah. So go ahead.
It was honestly such like a gamble to have like a song like that complex in like a 23-minute episode of Community. Because like, I was watching it the other day and I was like, I want to listen to this song again. Like it's it's good, right? And I think it would have been really, really easy for all of the songs of the episode to be sort of like Britta's song, right? Which that sounds like a Britta's song. Sounds like what would be the really melancholy string instrument. If
Britta's
like,
song,
right? Yeah. Nobody loves poor Britta.
Yeah,
she made a Britta of it all.
I want to say one. We'll just go through the lyrics.
The lyrics,
yeah. So, because they're talking, and I just love how like, yeah. So Abed walks in. He's like, "Hey, Troy," and he's like, and Troy goes, "Abed, why do you look gleeful?" He's like, "Do you think it would be like kind of fun to help the Glee Club?" He's like, "Abed, we hate the Glee Club." Like,
right, and it's very Troy, like kind of superiority, like,
yeah,
but also, yeah.
He's like, "Abed, I'd do anything with you, but I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I can't celebrate Christmas." I think I had a loophole around that. What if you were a Jehovah's Witness that was merely pretending to be into Christmas, gathering clues and blending in to take down the holidays from within?
You mean like a spy investigating? Making it seem like I'm celebrating when actually I'm infiltrating Santa's operation?
Yoip! But like, just going deep, cover past enemy lines,
making everything I'm on the Christmas side,
rocking warm sweaters, hanging on big ass lights.
If the fat man can see me, it's gonna look right.
I watch all the TV specials that I never could. I even cried in the sound ones like James. I always wonder about that line. Is that like from a James Bond movie?
He means like since he's a spy, like to infiltrate. If James Bond is so convincing that he would cry at the sad, something like that.
And then he'll come down the chimney and it'll just be him and me, but he won't know we're enemies because I'll play sincere, bring a trap like that,
hug him tight, get on his lap.
And tell him he can come back every year.
I am Jehovah's most secret witness.
So I might have to dedicate my life to Christmas.
And act just like I love it till the day that I die.
ABED, connoisseur Christmas on the spectrum.
None of your business.
I just, oh, goodness.
Such a sneaky line that I don't know if you would have slowed down the episode, you would have gotten away with, right? I like the line, if years were seasons, this December would be the December of December.
Yeah.
Right?
I need you to help me understand that. Like, okay.
If years were seasons, this is December.
Okay.
Right? He's saying that like, because that's also been a running theme up in the season so far of like, this year kind of sucks. Like we haven't been getting along.
Yeah.
No money in Greendale. Chang is being a tyrant, whatever. So he was like, if years were season, this December, like this year's Christmas would be the December of Decembers. Like December sucks.
Oh,
like so this year is like December because it sucks. Yeah. Basically, is what they're saying.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
right.
I do love how they show like little icons of like past episodes, like past moments in the show.
Right,
like with the clock, and like how there a few are like blocked out
because you haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, it's like because there's in that little photo. There's the first episode. There's Paintball 1. There is
Paintball 2. There's the Colonel Sanders.
There's Abed's
Uncontrollable Christmas.
Uncontrollable Christmas.
I can't tell what that one is.
That's the Spooky and 7 Steps.
Okay.
That's right now.
Yeah.
That's the Chaos Theory one, I think.
See, I didn't even notice that the first time. I thought it was the Greendale 7 that were in the different pictures, but it makes more sense. But I love that.
Let's see. Now my computer's bugging. Goodness. Okay. But
more blueprints than Howard Hughes, but if there are blueprints, how do we choose?
And then we have to be happy to get to the end.
Ooh.
I love that. See, here's what the thing.
That's a Tyler Joseph line.
Exactly. When I texted you about that, because even in the video, he like points a gun.
We have to be happy to get to the end.
Yeah, like, and then just like he finishes it out. But like, I just think it's like, on the spectrum, none of your business. Like,
right, none of your business.
And again, like they never like. That's something they do great with Hobbit. They were like, okay, if Community came out like last year, he would definitely be like, I am autistic.
I am autistic. And look, I am just as capable as these non-autistic people.
Exactly.
And Abed, I have a deeper understanding and appreciation. Yeah. Like Pierce would be this like total like snowflake of like, Abed, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I realize now that I've been mispronouncing your name this entire time, which is cultural misappropriation on my part, right?
I know.
You
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Like, all the teeth would be taken out of it.
Exactly.
And so it came up at just the right time.
Yes.
Where it's like, you can notice that he's autistic, but like no one's going to say it. And like, he won't even say it. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, it's so good.
Like they just it's thinking that the audience is smart enough to understand what's going on without just laying it out.
Precisely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like woke Disney, apparently.
Bob Iger, what do you do?
I also just love the last three lines are just, we have to save Christmas to save our friends. We have to save Christmas to save our friends. We have to save Christmas to save our friend, right? And I don't know, there's something poignant. Like, we have to save Christmas to save our friends. What they mean is that, like, oh, Mr. Rad told us that Christmas won't happen unless we have Glee. Mm-hmm. But I think there's also a deeper kind of thing of like, our friends are like tragic and sad, and they don't realize like how sad they actually are. So like, maybe, I mean, there's even a 21 Pilots song that's kind of about that. Christmas Saves the Year. Have you heard that one yet?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Like,
if I have.
Everybody's got someone to make it, or yeah. Everybody's got somebody who's got their name on a shelf. I'm not going to keep singing, but basically it's the idea of like, it came out in like the year of COVID. Mm-hmm. And so the whole idea is like, everything else has been off. So if Christmas can just be special this year, like everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And almost like, yeah, Christmas doesn't have to be good every year, just to like knowing that Christmas is coming. It's like a reset button. And like, that's what, I don't know. I mean, we talked about it, like kind of generated joy and choosing to be joyful. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the 21 Pilots fan in me, but I see that here, and that we have to save Christmas to save our friends.
And would you call that like his Abed's or like Danny Pudi's? It's his tone. Like it's like a not higher, but it's like brighter, or that like
like his pitch almost in the
yeah, and like so that's something I realized like recently. Like I'm super in. I didn't realize I'm a lot more into like how
vocalists vocalize.
How vocalist sounds. Like,
yeah.
And again, like there's, I mean, because we all heard like, you know, super straightforward singers that are just like,
or
like,
even like stage play.
Yeah,
like Hamilton. Like,
I once heard a bird. Like,
right.
Yeah.
We have to save Christmas to save our friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Abed.
Abed. We can't say that. Let me get your charger.
Oh,
I'm charging.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think like that's something I bet you appreciate as well about Tyler Joseph is just like the tone of like his voice, especially for like the lyrics that he sings.
Yeah,
it's just like it's. I mean, it's like
that the patience that he has versus like the rushing and other points. Mm-hmm. It really gives you kind of an indication of what to feel or like what emotion's coming.
Yeah,
I agree with that, and that's something that I think on the other hand can ruin a song for me. Like, I think sometimes vocalists will throw in like a falsetto or a lilt, and it's just more to do it for the song. Like,
dude, that's because you're right. Because like with Tyler Joseph, like most things is almost everything's from the chest,
right?
And two, like he has like no vibrato like on any of the songs, so it's not like, you know, don't be afraid. Like it's just like
right. He's attacking.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So like I love that. Like,
but then there's also a song, and it's called, what is it called? I haven't. It's not like a super well known song, but it's called like Girls Like This, and it's basically about like, I shouldn't be attracted to these types of girls, but I am. But like halfway through the song, the guy's like, I've got a thing for girls like this, and I'm like, like I like the song, especially because I resonate with it. But I'm like, but that one little addition, or like if a song tries to do kind of like a, you know, they're going through their melody, and then they have like a major 7 right in the middle of it, or they try to do like an octave boost. Like it sometimes it can just change the song for you, like like almost like irreparable. But
yeah,
I don't know, but. Yeah,
that's a great point, because like the song is for the audience, not the song. The song's not for you, like,
right?
You're giving the song away to. That's what it means to put a song out. You're giving it away.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I do, right? Like you're creating a song, you're putting a label on it, and I've also heard that too. Like with a concert, the concert's not about the performer; it's about the audience. So because I know that like, I don't remember who it was, but some artists like got flack because they didn't want people singing along.
Oh, what's it called? Lorde did that for a concert. For like, she tried to do something that didn't sound good either.
Right.
But I guess that's a example of it. I'm not sure if that's the one you're thinking of, but
maybe. But or no, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it was that the audience members didn't want each other to sing along. But then the thing behind it is like, but this artist is performing, right? And you're there to like support them as their fan. And so like the audience support also like adds to the song. But like, yeah, but there's just a weird dynamic of like, whose song is it? Who's the music for? Because like Tyler Joseph and Josh Dunn, like they make their concerts like a show, right? Like they have fun doing it. I watched the Vessel reunion. Did you watch that? The live stream that they had? I watched it with Jason.
Nice.
And it was them just kind of like, celebrating like the journey that they've been on in the last 10 years. They showed like an old commercial that they filmed for it. Nice. And they had a whole like segment dedicated to just like, here's what our concerts looked like in 2013. And then here's what our most recent tour looked like. And it's like, the only thing that was different was the scale of it. Yeah. Like it I feel like a lot of artists are like, sort of the Hollywood dramatization is like the longer you do it, the more jaded and bitter and drug dependent. And, but it's like, but they just, exactly. Right. But they still have fun doing it. And I think that that's something that like, I don't ever want to like, I'm probably never going to be a big artist. I mean, most likely I'm not going to be a big artist, but like, I don't ever want to get to a point. Oh, I appreciate that. I don't ever want to get to a point where like my music, or even, I'm sure you can agree with this too, where like your music feels like an obligation instead of something that you're creating. Like it's a gift. But I think, I don't know. We were also talking about this earlier of like, it's okay to admit that you're selfish sometimes. Like there's sort of like this taboo that you never talk about it. But I think I am kind of selfish with my music. And like, I want it to be like, this is my thoughts captivated in a song. And it's almost like a little glass jar of like, I put all these thoughts into this glass jar. And so I don't ever have to think about it again. It's just in this glass jar if I want to listen to it.
Dude, that's a good line. I'm selfish with my music. Like
I'm selfish with my music.
Like
I'll write it down. put it down. I mean, if Ethan was here right now, he'd have a cow about how off he's gotten.
Okay, so I'm selfish with my music like a little glass jar. Like,
ooh,
goodness. But yeah, I mean, go back to the Ovid rap though. Like, also just like the music was good, like that dun 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 dun, going deep, cover past the enemy line.
Right.
So, on Christmas side, like it's tight.
If I can make one more Joseph remark, it's actually Jay Joseph instead of Tyler. Tyler's younger brother. But look him up. Jay Joseph. He has music on Spotify and YouTube, but he only has like an EP, so it's not like a whole album. But one of the songs, instead of doing like a just a 4/4 time, it's almost like a I don't know. I think of it like in waves. So it's like the second and the fourth beats, like they almost like it's like you're delaying and then falling on it and then jumping back, delaying and falling on it. Okay. And it's really, really cool. But I heard that kind of in this song as well too, which is really Again, they could have just thrown this away as a gag of like, oh look, it's the two minority characters rapping, but they made it into something that's really good. And I think it's in the style of that sort of early 2000s kind of like fisheye camera lens. We're gonna have background dancers, but it's also on their pillow fort, which is really fun. I love that.
I love that just got me thinking of like the others, like again, like you said earlier, they did a great job with like actually making the songs. Like they could have just done like one song and like you got the idea, but they did like 5.
Right.
And like I keep on thinking like 1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's fun, I think, for every decade that they do that song. You can hear it's almost like We Didn't Start the Fire, right? He gave AIDS to Doris Day. He helped him chase McCarthy away.
Baby Boomer, Santa, Spielberg, and microchips.
And then, thank you for MTV. Yeah. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
Which is kind of funny because, like, in the 90s, like, the baby boomers would have been sort of like that age to, like, be, movie moguls and, producers on shows and all that. So I like how that's sort of like Pierce's, like, final bursting. They kind of finished him off. But
yeah. In one sense or another.
Purely hypothetically speaking.
And then my last favorite line is like, so Britta says this. She says, I realize the stakes aren't that high, but for some reason that just makes it extra scary. And I think like it completely epitomizes like the show.
Yes.
Like
how they can make things with no stakes feel catastrophic.
Exactly. And then it just reminded me of our days back in our college ministry where like we'd play this game where like we'd black out every door or black out every window and every door and every light.
Make it really dark.
And like again it like the stakes were nothing, but
right,
literally the most terrified I've been in my life.
Oh, of course. You're like, where is he?
Yeah.
I can't see him.
Hear a tennis ball drop.
Jonathan, are you still alive, Jonathan? And then you hear no response. You're like, oh my gosh. And a thwack.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that uncanned a whole bunch of anxiety for me, man.
Dude, literally the most terrified I've been in my life.
Oh, right. Especially because in later games we started like pumping in scary music as well.
Yeah.
But those were also the funnest nights too, because it was like, hey, we're gonna go to Buffalo Wild Wings and we're gonna all have a fun time, and then we're playing that game.
Yeah.
And the freshman guys are like, what's the game? Right? I don't think.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You'll find out. We're not hazing you, I promise.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. The last A+ that I had was Abed dunks on the Inspector Spacetime Holiday Special, which is just like a blatant of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever watched it or heard about it?
I've heard about it and watched it.
Yeah, I watched it, and right down to Abed has a little hologram, like there's a little bit in the episode with the hologram playing a rock music. Like that is straight out of the Holiday Special. Like Han and Leia and Luke are in the show for like maybe 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is Chewbacca's family literally just doing day-to-day stuff, like in Star Wars universe. Like the mom Chewbacca is like watching baking recipes with this like guy who's dressed up as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
The grandpa Chewbacca, like I think he's looking at adult sites because it's like this like weird like acrobatic like sultry dancer thing. And then the kid is like watching like this rock like music, and so basically it's just like they're just using an excuse to have this like new technology. But I think it's funny that they're like, yeah, the Space-Time Holiday Special was so awful that the guy who created it had his knighthood revoked. Like that's so it's hilarious.
Let's see. I'm gonna skip the diorama question. That's all right.
I do want to ask, if you were in a Glee situation, what song would you want to have Gleeified?
Ooh, good. That's a good question. Probably.
Is it 21 Pilots song?
I don't know.
Oh, you stay in your lane, Christian.
Well, lane boy.
I do think that having like a choir arrangement of Guns for Hands would be really cool.
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, so this is a song. It's called "Tech It." The slowed version by Cafune.
Slowed version's always better.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I want to like, you know how like, on like the slowed versions of songs or like those like YouTube edits now, it's like really popular to have like random anime clips.
Slowed and reverb. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a whole playlist of that.
So like, I want one where I'm like sitting on like a desk that's like looking out to like a city,
and so it's just your silhouette.
Or yeah, something like that, and you can like see the moon in the background because like it has a line about like I watched the moon, and I can't stop thinking about you or something like that. And like I want that like with like one knee hanging or like one leg hanging like towards the ground, like one knee up, like tucked to my chest is like kind of hanging out.
Yeah,
and like
ooh,
something like that.
Ooh,
and like
go off, John.
Like just like a straight up like close up shot, like where did you learn what it means to reciprocate? And like you just hear like
yeah,
and like just like a little bit in the background. That's what I do.
Gleeified. What's the song called?
Cafune. Yeah.
Is the artist or the song?
Oh, that's the artist. Whoops.
Yeah.
Tech It. Yeah.
So if they get a bump in streams after this, we get credit for it.
Oh, we should.
Right. I think mine would be Amen by Amber Run. I think I've showed that to you. I showed it to everybody that I meet pretty much. And I would make it this a cycling series of dolly shots where it's like so you know what I mean by dolly shot, where it's basically like the camera's straight on and the person's moving but the background the person's standing still but the background is moving, and so the entire song would just be that person's face, and like one shot would be like slowly leaving a church, one shot would be like slowly walking down the city sidewalk, one of them would be like even just like in the middle of the forest, because like the whole song is about like, man, I believe that there's something, but I've also heard so many fake things that are out there. And like he caps it off with like sometimes I wish I was dead so I could be with you, like and it's not like a scary or like a hey should I be concerned about you thing, but it's just like he's feeling so much at that moment and he just wants like to be justified in his beliefs, and like I love that so much. So if I could make anything that was poignant, I want it to be the Gleeified version of Amen by Amber Run. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Let's see. Fleeing the Class. I just had Mr. Rad. I think Mr. Rad killed it. I love Taron Killam.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I think if it had to be one of the 7, which I know we've kind of gotten away from, which is totally cool. I would say Abed, just because he's sort of like he gets them into it, but he also gets them out of it.
Yeah,
and I think he has the most fun songs as well. Like he has the rap, and he also has the Baby Boomer Santa, and yeah. So I'd give it to Abed. But all term final thoughts. I'm going to give it I'll give it a Frosty Returns out of the original Frosty the Snowman. Not like an all-timer, but still a lot of fun. I think now that I remember it, because again, I didn't remember it the first time I watched it, but I can look forward to it whenever I know it's coming up, right?
Yeah.
I think the songs are great. I think the source material of, kind of riffing on Glee is fun. So yeah, I'll do that.
I give it 9 out of 10, man. I think this is a super, this is one of the reasons, this is an episode that inspires a rewatch.
Right.
When I watch, I randomly catch this episode, I'm like, oh man, we need to do a community rewatch.
Yeah, exactly.
This is one of those inspirational. Yeah.
No, I couldn't have put that better myself. That's awesome.